Hey everyone, welcome back to Grasping Grand Theft Auto, a series that breaks down the mechanics of the GTA games. This series will go fully in depth on mechanics you already know and introduce you to some that you don't. To those that are just joining us, I'd recommend watching the first episode as it gives you an introduction to the series and what my plans involve. Also, if you're new to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribed, as I'm very close to 1,000 subs. I put out content ranging from speedruns to tutorials to informational videos like these on a frequent basis. Once I reach 1,000 subs, I'll start working on a world record progression video for GTA San Andreas. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, then consider 619ing that subscribe button. This episode will be taking a look at the pedestrians that wander the streets. You may think that pedestrians are pretty standard in their behaviours, but you'd be surprised as to how complex their mechanics are. Today, I'm going to go through a bunch of behaviours and show you how they work, and also how they don't. Let's start off with a behaviour you're likely all quite familiar with. Thieves are certain pedestrian types that will commit crimes, such as stealing cars and fighting with law enforcement. They might even steal your car if it's appealing enough to them. Something you may not know is that in Vice City, cheaters are actually the most common cars that they will steal. Let's break their behaviour down a little to see why. When a thief decides to steal something, they will usually attempt to steal the most expensive car with a driver. However, if the equation involves parked cars, it instead becomes a little more complicated. When a thief spawns, the game generates a list of models that the thief wants to steal, around 10 or so. This is a loop of random vehicles that are generated, and if that vehicle is suitable for the thief, like a car or a bike, then it's added to the list. If it's something unsuitable, such as a boat, then the cheater model is added instead. If the thief goes near an unattended vehicle contained in that list, then he will attempt to steal it. Due to the cheater being added as default whenever a blacklisted vehicle is chosen, it becomes the most likely vehicle in their wishlist, and that's why cheaters are the most popular among thieves. Sometimes a wandering criminal will start being chased by a nearby cop, and if you beat up the criminal to aid the policeman, you will receive a $50 good citizen bonus. This is translated to nice guy bonus in the Japanese version of the game. There's also a similar mechanic that's unique to GTA 3. Let's take a look at that before we move on, since I know you guys like taking a break from Vice City every now and again. Pickpockets are a type of thief that will steal money from other pedestrians, as seen in this clip. What's interesting about these thieves in particular though, is that if you're using the classic control scheme, and aim a gun at one of the pickpockets, they will drop the cash they stole and run away from Claude. Now, let's head back to more neutral pedestrians, and see what kind of stuff they get up to when left to roam Vice City. Some of their behaviour isn't super interesting, as we've seen a lot of it before, but I'll briefly touch on it for the sake of coverage regardless. One of the most obvious signs of pedestrian behaviour is when you purchase the Cherry Poppers ice cream factory and begin selling ice cream to the lovely citizens of Vice City. Pedestrians will flock to the van, like the ladies do to me when they find out I'm a speedrunner. Pedestrians sometimes decide to take a break and have a nice little rest if their feet get tired. If it begins to rain, peds will run to a nearby shelter to shield themselves from the rain. Buses are constantly moving around Vice City, picking up pedestrians and taking them to their destinations. They are on a cycle, just like the weather and radio stations that we talked about before, meaning that if you start a new game, they will always be in the same place. This is why new speedrunners will sometimes see a bus parked outside the Malibu Club when they go to start the Death Row mission. If a bus isn't currently spawned, every 15 seconds one will be set to spawn at the next stop in the route. There are 17 bus stops on the first island, but only 13 on the second. Usually, if you switch islands, the bus will switch over to the same stop index from the first island. However, if the bus is at one of the extra indexes the second island doesn't have, it will just default to stop 1 instead. The bus also spawns depending on player position. Tommy has to be within 180 units for it to spawn, but if you get too close and enter the 115 units range, it won't spawn either. This is why spawning a bus can be so tricky even if you know which stop the bus should be at. Tommy can actually take a bus and become a driver himself. For each pedestrian he picks up, he will earn $5. The pedestrians respond the same way to any bus, regardless of whether it's scripted or driven by Tommy. If several pedestrians decide to take the bus at once, they will form an orderly queue at the bus stop. As a British person, I give this mechanic 2 thumbs up. Now, enough of that boring working shit. Let's get into the buggy stuff, shall we? The next behaviour type is pedestrians who are buying pizza. They will walk up to the counter and buy a pizza, and they actually drop less money should you kill them once they purchase it. Buying the pizza via the pizza place would make sense, right?
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction.
This is Rockstar we're talking about. And the pizza places don't work at all. The mechanic still exists, but pedestrians purchase pizza from awesome attractions such as this brick wall instead. Reminds me of when I try and talk to girls on Tinder. This is why I prefer Grindr. We've saved the best for last in my opinion. Did you know that pedestrians can use ATMs in this game, and that they will carry significantly more money should you kill them? You didn't because the mechanic is actually bugged to shit and doesn't work? Me too! We have so much in common. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So the mechanic itself actually works just fine. Pedestrians, if near an ATM, will put their card in and receive money in return, which then allows them to carry a lot around. The issue is that just like the pizza places, the actual ATMs in the game simply don't work. Instead, for some odd reason, chairs within the Vice City police station were made into ATMs by accident. They are supposed to just be normal chairs, but it doesn't actually make a difference as the cops can't use them anyway. The only time they are used is during the mission No Escape, where the script forces that behaviour. We can use a custom script to see the chairs in action within the police station. You can see here the lady is using her credit card to get money out of the chair. Interestingly enough, this bug persists all the way into San Andreas, but you can actually see Peds using the chairs to get money without any mods necessary. Well, that about sums up pedestrian behaviour. I hope I opened your eyes today about some of the interesting mechanics surrounding pedestrians in the GTA games. It's unfortunate that most of them don't work properly, but on the bright side it does make for some solid content. Is there any mechanic in the GTA games that you would like to learn more about? Feel free to let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.